This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Who's in studio. Luigi is with us at least till 6. Questions for him via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be back. Welcome back to you, too.
We're a little late starting the top 5, but we'll catch up. Gaardsy, where would you like to begin?
When I say Minnesota Star Tribune and Paul Walsh, Dan, you say what?
Intrepid reporter.
And I think he found one here. And that Minnesota Vikings linebacker, Dallas Turner, was the target of a banking fraud scheme that cost him roughly $240,000, according to a police investigation. Not going to read all of this, but I am going to give some details. Police have asked J.P. Morgan Chase whether its internal investigation has determined how, quote, the fraudster was able to obtain sensitive account details, including Dallas's full name, linked phone numbers, and his LLC account info, and whether any bank employees played a role in the scheme. That according to an affidavit. So here are the details. Turner and his attorney contacted police in April to report that Turner received a call on Feb 19 from an individual impersonating a J.P. Morgan Chase banker.
Oh my.
The caller claimed someone was attempting to impersonate Turner at a Chase branch in Arizona and presented 2 copies of ID to execute a wire transfer. The caller then directed Turner to immediately transfer his money to 2 separate bank accounts in an effort to thwart the theft attempt. That afternoon, Turner did it. Went to a Chase branch in Eagan, transferred $120,000, and then before the day was over, went to another Chase Bank branch in West St. Paul and transferred another $120,000, and then apparently spoke with a family member and determined that wasn't a good idea. We may have been a victim of a fraud scam. Turner has no comment. His attorney has no comment. The team has no comment, but a bad deal all around for Dallas Turner, it appears.
Louis, go back to every decade. The number of players, obviously they got money, who have, in every sport, I feel like, have taken advantage of out of naivete or, just lack of knowledge. It's endless. Going all the way back. I remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had to sort of start over because I think his agent, he ended up finding out how many hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions, that his attorney, his agent, had stolen from him.
Well, there's been a lot of that in sports, but the unfortunate thing is, and I say unfortunate because it not only happens in sports, it happens every day. I have to tell you, every week I get something that's
sounds urgent.
Phishing.
Same. Yes.
They want the same thing. Whether PayPal, you have to pay this. I don't even have PayPal, Venmo. I don't have all these things, and your order's been shipped out. Send us this money. It's got to happen to everybody and everything, and it does happen more so to people older like me now,
sure.
because we're not up to date in a lot of things that you should be up to date on.
Sometimes
not only intimidated, it looks so real. Just fall for it. Instead of, you might as well. My policies, you're gonna have to come and get me for a check if you want it, because I'm not sending anybody any money.
Being the entrepreneur that you've always been, I assume over the decades, you had a couple shysters come to you and say, "Hey, Louis, I got a deal. I got something you want. You need to get in on this on the ground floor." Was there ever a time or two where you got a little bit enticed and then you did a little investigating and said, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? I can't get near that."
No, I never had enough money.
That's a preposterous statement, Tournament.
No, it's not. No,
you just added another like whole floor to the cabin compound.
Actually, then that's
Balsam Lake.
And that's why I never. I had a policy. I wasn't going to get involved in anything when I was in hockey or in business, because of everything I worked for and I wanted, I would turn towards my family to make things better for my family. I just didn't have any interest. Even like now I'm involved in a restaurant, and it's been 9 years now. I had 20 opportunities when I was playing in business. I said, no, I'm not doing anything while I'm in sports. I don't want my name on anything else.
That makes sense.
I don't want any other activity taking away my focus, and I just did not do any of that kind of stuff.
Let's do this.
I got one follow-up.
Okay, go ahead.
Louis, when I text you and say I need money, that text is actually from me. Like when I've done that a couple of times.
Not a fake Gaardsy.
I said there's no fake Gaardsy. I do need the money.
Well,
So
I'll give you my banker's name.
yeah, just let me know.
Even better.
Let me know.
Let's do the straddle. If you want to put $1,000 in somebody's hand, we can do that too.
I would. TheFanandBigDeck.com. I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. No scam here. You just have to go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword bank. KFAN.com, enter the keyword bank.
Top 5 at 5. We'll continue with Luigi. We'll get into some hockey stuff and who knows what else when we return.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they...
Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Lou Nanne?
He's here. He was here for the start of the top 5. Do you have other things you would like to add to the top 5?
That Wrigleyville is headed east. Twins, Cubs tonight, Target Field. Your guy Simeon Woods Richardson on the mound tonight. Ron Cooper's Cubs 44-36.
Yeah, they're having a nice year
on the season. As I pull up the standings, we know that the Twins are buried. They're technically now in third place in the Central because Kansas City won last night. Twins did not play. 14 games back there. The Cubs, on the other hand, 3.5 games ahead of Cato Kalin's Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Central.
Yeah, I think he noticed that somebody was clamoring for us to have him back on the show. Was it when we were playing the Brewers?
Yes, which was a few weeks ago. I think
exactly.
You were either gone or it was a Friday and it didn't work out. So that's what's going on at Target Field.
Kemp's, as always, brings us Lou Nanne to you. By the way, somebody had asked, we were talking yesterday. Yesterday was day 1 of the running of the Bulls in Pamplona, Spain. Have you, Luigi, ever been tempted to or ever run with the Bulls in Pamplona?
Absolutely no interest.
Come on, you're a daredevil. You're a guy
not with bulls.
You don't want to mess with bulls.
No.
Didn't you used to own a couple bulls?
I thought I did. One year when we were.
That's too good.
Yeah, we always ate meat in those days.
Sure.
We always had steak. So before training camp, I had, in May at the end of the season, I said to Maniago and Oliver and this friend of mine, Peter Karras, who drove our wives to the game all the time. He said, we're eating so much steak. I got this farm now.
Speaking of deals, right?
Let's get 2 cows. I'll put 2 cows out there. I'll fatten them up in May. When September comes, I'll have them quartered and we'll have our meat for the year. This is a good idea. So I got the 2 cows out there and came to September. I called up a guy in South St. Paul. I said, okay, you can go get those 2 cows and quarter them up. And so he said, all right. 2 days later, he calls me. He said, what'd you do to these cows? I said, what do you mean what'd I do to these cows? He said, they lost 45 pounds each since I sold them to you. He said, I said, why? He said, didn't you feed them? I said, they got all that grass out there. I said, I put a salt block out. He said, grass is 6 feet high. They'd have to eat it under high yield. I said, well, just trade them in for 2 fat cows. And that's what I did. But
All's well that ends well?
Yeah, but in July that year, Murray Oliver and his wife were staying over. It was July 4th, and they'd come over to stay over, and I had them fenced in. And I said, my wife, she got up early at 6 o'clock. She's down there making stuff for July 4th, and about 6:30, she says, Lou, you got to get out there. A cow got out. So I went down, and I knocked on Murray's door. His Muzz, get up. We got to get a cow. He said, how are we going to do that? I said, I got a hockey stick. I said, I'm going to chase him with a stick. You sit on the fence and open a door. And so we went down, and I'm chasing this cow around the fence with a hockey stick. And as the cow's going by, they're mooing, moo. They're mooing each other, but Muzz is swinging the door open and closed, and it's not going in there. And I had owned a lot next to it, too. And the guy that sold me the property said, can I put a tent on there for my sons? I said, sure. So wouldn't you know it, the cow goes up in the tent. And so I chase him up in a tent, and it turns around, or her, whatever it is, and looks at me, and I looked at the cows start, pawing the ground with the right foot.
Really?
Oh my God, I think I bought a bull instead. I didn't know, but I speared her, whatever it is, right between the eyes. That thing ran right down. And
Seriously?
Right down, right to...
I'd be afraid to do that, man. What if it can't come right at you?
Yeah, well, I was afraid it was coming at me. That's why I did it. So
wow.
It went right back into, went back in there and starved again.
So did you get scammed on the original cows, or you just didn't feed them?
I didn't feed them. I didn't know you had to feed cows, too. I thought,
How long did that experiment ensue?
May through September.
Okay, just once?
Just once.
Just once.
You got
out of the cow business.
No more cows.
That probably makes sense.
The quartering of the cow, though, that's a great life hack, Louis. You were on the right track. We do that with one of our neighbors. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You have beef for years.
That's what I was thinking.
Crazy.
We used to call them, my kids called them sugar and spice, and then they didn't want me to, have them killed.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem, but...
you can't get attached.
You didn't have to slaughter them, did you?
No, I just South St. Paul. That's
they took care of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. That wouldn't be fun.
You're feeding the cows at Tavern 23, right? Is it grass-fed beef?
That's really good.
Okay.
Flat
No
iron
question.
steak, it's great.
Flat iron. That's good.
Prime.
Clayton from Rochester sent this in hours ago. Dan, I had a relative who was neighbors with your guy, Chicago Blackhawks captain Pierre Palat. This was back when players were making about $6,000 a year, supposedly. It's a far cry from the $18 million that Kirill may get from the Wild. Does Luigi think he could have gotten Pierre closer to $8,000? Is we ever close to bringing Pierre Palat in? He's a good player.
Very good player.
Yeah.
And a great guy, by the way, from Southern Ontario. Just he was one of my favorites before I turned pro. And, I always liked Pierre Palat.
Yeah.
I liked the name. I liked the way he played. And he was a real fan favorite in Chicago, as you well know.
Is he still alive?
No.
No. Is there anybody still alive from those Blackhawks teams?
Oh,
Hull's gone, right? Bobby Hull's gone.
There's, it's Bobby dead. I don't think Bobby died yet.
I can't remember.
I don't think
That's a good
Hull's
question.
dead. No,
yeah, maybe he's not.
No. Vasco, who was my
Elmer
teammate,
moves Vasco, yeah.
And he actually died very young. He moved back to Chicago, and he probably shouldn't have. He opened a little restaurant, probably wanted burgers, ate too many, and he died.
Man.
I want to say around 64, 65.
Oof, that's not good.
Tony Esposito's gone. Keith Magnuson's gone. There's so many.
Yeah,
gone.
a lot from those teams.
Yeah, but there's Cliff Coral still living.
Okay,
there's a number of.
Is Makita?
Makita died. He died.
Okay.
Yeah, he died a long time ago.
Hendo is going after you, Gaardsy, for a geography problem.
What's that now?
Gaardsy said Wrigleyville is headed east, not only mathematically challenged, but also directionally.
That's true. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Did you say the east?
I think I did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
And
I
also,
heard it.
you can correct me. I was in the meat grinder earlier about Afton, which I got correct.
Yeah, you did get that right.
People thought I screwed it up and had Afton on the wrong, I guess
had it
the
on the
east
right
side
side,
of the St. Croix. I had it on the west side of St. Croix.
Well, at least you didn't make the mistake I made when I was doing the show with Dan and I was in Hawaii. I was in Kona, and I was at Bob Dayton's house, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm looking at the Atlantic Ocean, just having a drink."
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Instead of the Pacific. I've never heard the end of that one.
That's pretty good. That's very good. Was Louis at the 4th of July parade in Eveleth? Somebody's acting like they spotted you there. Were you at the 4th of July parade in
Balsam
Eveleth?
Lake. We had a little parade in Balsam Lake, but it was fun.
Are you like, do you attend the parade?
I didn't this
year.
Go this year. But some of my kids and grandkids and great-grandkids.
A lot of good texts coming in. Should Wild fans, it's already been kind of alluded to, should Wild fans panic yet that Kaprizov is not yet signed?
I heard you coming in talking about that, and that is the biggest question going on right now. And I want to, and here's what I said it when you were gone, that the first person I would sign when July 1st came would be my own player, Kaprizov. One of the reasons is because you don't know what you're going to end up paying him. So once you do sign him, you know how much you got left to sign everybody else.
Sure.
You can't get everybody else and encroach on what you might have to spend. But more than that, it would have been a great thing, because when you announced Kaprizov, the same thing that they did July 4th when they did Parisi and Suter.
Correct.
It's a great send-off. And I know what the agent's doing. I don't like what he's doing. And I actually was with Bill Guerin at a function a couple nights ago, and he said he's traveling. Well, yeah, what's he traveling 24 hours a day, every day? You know, the agents, they're all waiting. The guys that are going to be free agents after this year, you notice there hasn't been signings. The people that have been signings are the ones that are already going to be a free agent. So this will be a year later for Kaprizov. So the guys that have a year to go, like Connor McDavid, Kaprizov,
right.
It's almost like they're waiting for each other to see who's getting what and where is it going to go. And in my mind, the way to cure it, if the guy would do it, is you said there was no max. There is a max. Gaardsy.
Yeah, 20%.
Yeah, 20%, which gets about 19 million too.
Yeah.
Well, I figure he'll get 18 million. And so say, look, let's get it done. Whatever you want, that's it. We'll be the first one out of the barn. But the longer it goes, the less I like it.
Now you're going to get people going.
I know, but that's how you feel. Why I feel.
Yeah,
I mean, I might as well get them going. That's why I'm already going like that. I'm getting a little, as the Italians say, agita. So I get anxious. I'm hopeful that all the things we've read that Kaprizov said it won't be a problem. I'm happy. And Bill says, and I know Bill, I talked to him, it's no problem on the Wild side. It's what's going on with the other side.
Let's get a quick break, bottom of the hour. A lot of good questions coming in via the text line. More with Luigi when we return.
We've got your shot to win tickets to Summer of Loud 2025. It's this Friday, July 11th at Somerset Amphitheater. See performances from Beartooth, I Prevail, Parkway Drive, and more. Just head over to our contest page, see how you can win. KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Great to have Louie back in studio. You have questions, hit the KFAN text line, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is 64686. I assume you were on last week. Mm-hmm. So comments about the return of Nico Sturm, and then what did you make of the Tarasenko acquisition?
Well, they have to add something, and they're hopeful that this is more than just adding Tarasenko as a player. In my mind, you're adding a Russian that Kaprizov familiar with, maybe another encouragement, with the hope that Tarasenko can raise his game up, which is not where it was. Right. When he played against the Wild when he was with St. Louis. So you got to hope that somehow, some way, he's going to find new life and more productivity, while at the same time being another teammate of Kaprizov that he's very happy with and encouraging enough to have him think, I should stay around here.
This is from Matt in Roseville. Draisaitl didn't sign until September. The only question on Kirill will be term, because cap is going up so fast. Experts say top players will sign shorter deals so they can dip in again when the cap goes way up. Do you agree with that? Well,
here's the thing. I agree with, to a term, that Kaprizov can do that and take 18 million, say, on this contract. Everybody's talking 14, 16. They're crazy. In my mind, I know if I'm their agent, there's no way that the Wild won't give him 18 if he wants 18. They can't afford to lose this guy. And the most I think he could get is like 19 million or 19 million too right now with the 20% factor. So would you give up 5 years of 18 to hope that you're going to get 4 years of 21 or 22, risking the fact that Kaprizov's already had two significant injuries?
Yeah.
And now you go another 3 years, and if you do get injured and your productivity goes down, what are the odds and the likelihood that you're going to get that? And by the way, as I said many times, I feel the prime is 23 to 27. So he's going to be going from 28 to 31. So you're going to say at 32 now, you're going to start thinking he's going to get 4 years or 5 years of 23? I don't think so. If I'm the agent, give me a substantial amount. I'll be maybe I'm leaving 10 million on the table if I gambled, but at the same time, I may be making 90 million that I guaranteed in case something happened.
This is a college hockey question out of nowhere. This is from 651 guy. Feels like UMN hockey can't reel in the elite prospects who seem as of late to always go to Michigan or Boston schools and now McKenna to Penn State. How do the Gophers get back in the mix. Do you agree with that premise?
Well, no, because the Gophers are trying to. Bob Motzko's function has been to try and keep players longer, get them older and longer. McKenna that they're getting, he'll announce today, if he hasn't already announced it, the top junior in Canada prospect. He'll go number one next year. He will sign with Penn State, and he's going to get $700,000 from the money to go there. But he will only be there 1 year, and so Motzko's hoping that players that are very, very good will stay at least 2, probably 3 years, and then their team will be better for longer. And there's going to be more. In fact, I actually called him, and the Richie kid is a second-round pick. When I saw McKenna was definitely going to go, I felt he was definitely going to go to either Penn State or Michigan State, and I think it's going to be Penn State. And I saw that they played together. He played together with Richie. They won the Memorial Cup. Richie's second-round draft choice from the Wild. I said, "Are you doing anything with Richie? Do you have any interest in him?" He says, "I don't know, And he told me something that was really interesting. Some of these kids, he says, are coming from Canadian Junior. One of them is going. I'm not going to say what school or anybody gets an idea who it is. But he's only registering for 1 quarter. The second quarter, he's not going to go to class. He's going to play. He'll play the whole season. But then he's done after the season's over. Okay. So you don't want that kind of guy on the team. That's not what you want. That's not what Bob wants, and I agree 100% with him. So you got to be very careful. There's going to be a lot of movement now from Canadian
Is there enough
juniors.
talent, though, if you do it the way you're talking about? Do you lose out on some of the best talent?
Well, you might lose out on some, but there's, you have to remember the kids you're losing out on are first-year kids. And the first-year guys aren't winning all the time. We've seen that with the Gophers. They've had some of the top first-year guys going. Logan Cooley, Knives, Faber and all that, and they still didn't win. Boston College, same thing. BU, the same thing. Quinnipiac's winning. Denver's winning after they keep those kids 3 years, 4 years. So the experienced, more mature guys are winning the championships, and these kids are really good. They'll give you a winning season, but they're not giving you a championship yet.
Here's a question that might take some time for you to answer. Who is on Luigi's Mount Rushmore of NHL skaters, and who would be on his Mount Rushmore of NHL goaltenders?
Well, if you're talking about skaters, you mean forwards, defensemen, stuff like that?
Yeah, I guess
that's easy. It's going to be,
Gretzky and
I was going to say I'm going to include defense too.
Yes, I would.
Gretzky or Lemieux and Howe. And in goaltenders, I love Terry Sawchuk. I think he was as good as he got. And then you got to go with Martin Brodeur, Patrick Roy. And then the other one, I can go 100 different ways because there's full-time goaltenders that we saw that were very good too. But you probably, you could go with Dryden because he could be there even though he didn't have as long a career. He was sensational.
Is Bernie Parent in that mix?
He's close, but not quite in that mix.
See what else we have for you. Oh, ask Louie where a good place is to dine in the Sioux.
Oh, there's
they must be headed to the Sioux.
There's a couple Italian places there, and now I got to even remember the name of it. I know where it is. I can drive to it, but there's an Italian restaurant right downtown on Queen Street. It's by Queen and Elgin. Ask for Italian restaurant around there. It's very good.
Not long ago, we were talking about $14 million as a possible high mark for Kaprizov. What factors play into the additional $4 to $5 million salary certainty now?
Well, I never was in the $14 million group. In fact, I bet somebody when I was broadcasting, we were in Seattle. I don't know which one of the staff was it, or the broadcasters took me up on it because they were at $14 million and I was, guaranteeing 16. But I said, truthfully, it's going to be 18. So if they get him for 14, they've done the biggest heist I've ever seen in my life. And what factors come into it? The fact that just what we were talking about, this salary caps keeps going up. They do have the space now. I think McDavid's going to sign for $19 million. It'll be 18 for sure, probably 19. And everybody else that's got a star player right now that's young enough and the star player, they're going to be getting in the $18, $19 million range if their team has got that kind of space. If they don't, they'll be leaving unless the guys want to stay there because it's a championship team. But the new contracts are going to be starting the good ones. Look, Marner got 12, and he hasn't won a cup yet, hasn't done a number of things. He's been a great player in the league. But the factor for Kaprizov is so different than the other guys. Kaprizov is the franchise. He is the franchise. I can't picture this franchise without Kaprizov and having a sensational year. So I'm saying that's the main reason why I'm saying 18, because he is.
You got to do it.
He is to Minnesota what McDavid is to Edmonton. Like I said last week, you weren't here. I said, by the way, McDavid's got Draisaitl. Kaprizov hasn't got any Draisaitl here.
Very good point. Yep.
Arturo, Louis?
Pardon me?
Arturo restaurant?
Arturo, that's it.
There you go.
Very good.
There it is.
Very good.
Queen Street looks good.
Yeah, it is good.
Couple blocks from the water.
Yeah, it's about 2 blocks from the water, right down the St. Mary's River there.
507 guy asks the most dreaded question, but it's inevitable that somebody was going to ask it. What do the Wild do if Kirill doesn't sign? What would the trade market look like for Kirill Kaprizov?
Well, the trade market would be good, but at the same time, when you're trying to see what's the trade market going to look like, you're going to have to factor in a lot of draft choices. And I say that because if I'm a team, I'm not going to go get Kaprizov and I'm going to give my number 1 and 2 and maybe even 3 guys. And by the way, if I did, I'm giving you more than 18 million, because those guys are going to be on contracts around 8-9 million each, and you're going to have to give at least 2 of them. And why would you get 1 and give up 2 like that? I always say you don't fill a hole by creating a hole. And so the kind of deal you make is going to be draft structured or young prospect structured. And that means time. And that's something the Wild don't have a lot of. You're not going to sit back there and possibly miss the playoffs for 4 years because you're going to build. You got to do something now with that.
Are we really going to an 84-game regular season?
Can you imagine that?
What's that all about? How'd that happen?
Well, it's a normal thing. It's called cash, money, revenue. They're saying we're playing for exhibition games. We might as well be taking the games in. I can't believe how all these sports keep adding games. They're already compressing the schedule with the Olympics, the 4-nation tournaments, other things, and you only have so long as you can play hockey. It's October to you're finished nearly the middle of June, and then you add more games, which means more pressure, more stress on the players with travel and games close to one another.
So how much more money is 2 more games? What is that?
Well, say the Wild, I'd say the revenue is $4 million. 2 games, $2 million a year.
I guess.
When you call it what they get for suites and they get.
Did you know it was on the table? I completely missed it.
I knew it was on the table. I knew it, but I was hoping it wasn't going to go through.
Yeah.
And when I see that the Wild, then you take the Maple Leafs and Rangers, and now you're talking $10 million, $8-10 million. So I'm 8
million. Right. Depending on the team.
Yeah, I mean.
How far are you going to go?
That's what I'm saying.
86?
What's that going to get?
90?
Yeah. What's the difference?
Yeah.
The one thing you always have to keep in mind, you don't in any way want to hurt the product.
No, exactly.
And that's something that I don't think it's thought about as much as it should when you're taking a look at expanding the number of games these teams can play.
I think for me, it's pretty clear that in a perfect world, I know this will never happen because of the finances of it, NBA and NHL seasons would be 60 games. 60 would be wonderful.
I agree.
Imagine
with you 100%.
the season. Every game would feel like something, would it not?
Yeah, and every game, players are in better condition, fresher, and able to give a better effort. Even they give a hard effort now, but you're not going to be as sharp playing an extra 24 games in the same amount of time.
Do you harbor any guilt for being directly responsible for the growth of Florida hockey dominating the North? I mean, are there days where you toss and turn?
I'm happy about it because now look at the enthusiasm for hockey in Southeast the United States.
I got this text from Lou Nanne on Sunday, June 22nd. Look at the NHL channel to see the Panther Parade and how I helped grow the game in Florida. I said, you should be the Grand Marshal.
So good.
Well, Gaardsy called me one time and getting ready to do your show, and he says, when are you ever going to come home? I said, I got to stay here and help grow the game. So he never let me forget.
The best quote I saw after they won it was there was discussion about the parade route.
Yeah.
And I don't have the exact quote, but it was, it will take the usual route. Yeah, that's when you know you're good.
Yeah,
right?
That's
the usual route. Yeah. Means you've been there before, right?
You know what it is. You've seen it before.
By the way, I don't think, unless I missed it, Wild it's not the X anymore, right? It's changing names.
Grand
Casino. They didn't get any of the money they wanted from the state, right? So far?
No, and that's, to me, that's troubling. And I say it's troubling because, first of all, we know that the Vikings were treated very fairly by the state. So were the Twins.
Right.
So were the Timberwolves. They've had 100 and some million put in there. Now, no matter how you look at it, the Wild are very important to St. Paul. And it's their one major sport, and they should have the same kind of support from the state, in my mind, that the other sports get. And they are vital. If the Wild ever up and moved, all those businesses down on 7th Street downtown, I mean, what's going on? St. Paul's not as vibrant as Minneapolis now, and that would be tragedy. And this is.
What are you suggesting? They're going to move?
Well, I'm just saying you're not going to sit there forever and not be able to improve the stadium. It's 25 years old. Somebody says, "Well, it's just 25 years old." I said, "Yeah, the Metrodome went down when it was 25 years old." And you have to refurbish. You buy a house, 25 years, you got to paint it, you got to change the windows and change your carpeting. You got to improve it. And that's what the Wild are trying to do at their place. And I remember I think it was legislative her when I went to the legislature to help get funds for the World Junior coming and what it means to the city, the state at a very crucial time. She said, well, my voters don't want to spend money in sports. Well, I said, do you realize how important sports is to keeping taxes lower for your voters and the revenues that come in and all the other features that come with it? If you don't have hockey in St. Paul, how much more costly it's going to be because some of those buildings, the rents, the offices, et cetera, are going to go down. And you still have to pave the roads. You got to pick up the garbage. You have to do that. So sports is vital, and that's why cities have sports. Sports is vital to a complete community and keeping costs at a better level.
I'm not sure there's the same stomach though that there used to be. I don't know how much more money there is to get.
No, I know, but they haven't got any. The problem is you got, Timberwolves are going to come for a new stadium, so it's going to be much more than the Wild. And then the Twins are trying to get some, from what I hear, more for their ballpark. It's a never-ending thing, right?
What do you hear on the Twins ownership front? You got sources.
No, I just heard that there's an offer coming on the table. And
local?
And no. And I heard that, they weren't cash flowing the way they could. There's $400 million debt, and that they had to get that resolved, and I think they did.
So you think there will be new owners?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't care what sport it is. You get a franchise now in professional sports, you take a big leap to get it, but every time you see one of them get sold, they make more money. That's where you make your money. When you're going into sports right now, you're not going in to make money. Because you don't, in a lot of these sports, you don't make money right away, but your asset value really grows. And you keep thinking remember when Steve Ballmer paid $2.2 billion for the Clippers? Mm-hmm. I mean, that was way out of line from what basketball teams are going for. Now the Lakers go for $10 billion. So, these these things, I don't know, but they just keep going. And fortunately, there's a lot of billionaires out there that have everything they want except their name in a paper enough, and then they want to buy a sports team to do that.
You and I have, I know, talked about this occasionally over the years, but not recently. We were talking about this concern regarding a new kind of gambling. It's called spot fixing, where somebody bets on a pitcher is going to throw a pitch that's going to be in the dirt. Okay? And when there's unusual action on a given pitch in the second inning of a game, could be a later inning, whatever, that in this case, this particular pitcher, Luis Ortiz, is now under investigation. He is not playing while they check to see whether he had anything to do with that because of the amount of money that came in on a second inning pitch. So where are you on, we know we've done the 180 in sports across the board, including what the Wild are doing, where, sports leagues that used to run from gambling are now, they're all in it together. How much do you worry about the implications of that when it comes to these sorts of stories and scandals coming? Are we asking for more trouble? Is it inevitable that there's just too much money to be had? Teams or leagues almost had no choice but to do it because it's all about money, as you said earlier.
Well, I have to tell you, I don't know if you saw Bob Costas Sunday night on TV.
No.
And I was really impressed with what he said. His father had a big gambling problem. It affected the whole family. In essence, that's what he's saying. So when he was doing Major League broadcasts, and now they had gambling coming into it, and as an announcer, broadcaster, play-by-play guy, sometimes a color analyst, they have to read the commercials. He refused to read the gambling commercials because he felt
interesting.
He didn't want to be party to somebody else getting that problem. And I think that, I am worried about it. I think that the more it doesn't matter what it is, the more you give an opportunity for someone to stray from the rule,
it's going to happen more.
It's going to happen more.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And I don't think it's good for the league, but it's in all the leagues right now. And just look at, you can remember when no team was basically allowed to go to Las Vegas to play. There was never going to be a pro sports team in Vegas because of gambling. Now the hockey was smartest. They got in the first because then you got football and you're going to get basketball and baseball's coming. I mean, they're all going to be there. And when you're around it, somebody's going to get stung. Just enough people get around a mosquito pet, people get bit.
And the interesting thing about this form of gambling, which I had not really heard much about, is historically we think of, trying to basically fix an outcome.
Yeah.
This is tougher because it's so meaningless. It's a single pitch that might not have any impact on how a game goes, but that's now part of gambling. It's become a big part of these. I guess, is that considered a prop bet or not? Is that the same as a prop bet?
It's exactly. Just like the football games now. Who's going to win the coin flip?
Right.
They start there. Who's going to kick first? How far are they going to run the first ball? They are finding every different category to be able to place a bet because people will take funky bets. First it happens to be just something funny. They encourage to do it. Make a crazy bet, and then they could talk to their friends about, you can't believe how I won $100, And then it just spreads, and that's what's happening now, and it's spreading into a baseball game, pitch in the dirt and that. And that's
crazy.
And that would be something where you think that no one's looking or caring. That's why, like a pitcher, they could have bought the guy off to throw a pitch like that, and, you're going to make X amount of dollars, and that's what happens.
I had one other thing. Oh, I know what it was. So with your latest addition at the Balsam Lake compound, you can now comfortably host, is it 105 people now?
Crazy. Oh, half of that.
Only half. Only 50 to 52 in that range?
Yeah.
So this is an addition
we're 42 already.
to not the main place, but to one of the additions.
Yes.
So you went up to the second floor.
Yes.
That's crazy.
We have to. Well, you build it, they will come. And we have a big family. Well, I like to have my family around. That's my goal in life.
That's it. Just for you. I know that's everything. Yeah.
You know what's funny? Because on July 1st was Canada Day. I called home. My mother and father started this with my aunt and uncle when I was 7 years old, and that was 1948. And we have a place up there called Dodge Inn, and one sister bought next to them, another sister, and now they're all there. And I called home Canada Day, and there were 60 there for dinner.
60.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's it
for you.
What it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. It's nothing special, nothing great.
Yeah.
It's just facilities that you can
everybody
stay
can be
and
comfortable
enjoy
there.
3 days at.
Did you, in any of your trips to Ireland, ever kiss the Blarney Stone?
I didn't kiss it, no. And I asked my wife that because she took her mother there. My mother-in-law wanted to go with this group.
Yep.
And my wife didn't want her to go alone. She took it. She says she did what you did. She slid under the stone, but she didn't kiss it, she said. So, but no, in fact, they have one in Newfoundland the same way, too.
Is that
That
right?
was Newfoundland.
Yeah.
I didn't do it there either.
You're smart.
They like to have the same thing there in
I
Newfoundland.
unfortunately did. Thanks for coming in.
You're
Hopefully
welcome.
my
Nice to
voice
see
will
you.
get better.
Get
Good
well.
to see you. Thanks as always. You just had a bug yourself, you said.
Yeah,
right?
I did, yeah.
You sound good.
Thank you.
We'll talk next week one way or the other.
Good. Nice
Thanks,
to see
Luigi.
you. Take
Appreciate
care.
you.
Thanks.
Top of the hour pause. 30 minutes yet to go. Stay tuned.
Biggest muscle car party of the year is coming to the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, July 18th through the 20th. The Street Machine Nationals. You can enter now for your chance to win 4 tickets at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
I'm going to try to make it to the finish line today. Who knows tomorrow? We'll see. I'm hoping for a recovery. I got some medicine. So I'm hoping that overnight I'll make some kind of improvement. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow in terms of making the voice last for 3.5 hours. This is from Ryan in Boston. Is this the Ryan from Boston? Let me read you the text.
Ryan Kath?
Yeah, exactly. Regarding your earlier discussion about WNBA, I've seen similar phenomenon play out with local news. We produce, it's got to be him, an investigative segment called Small Town Secrets. That's him.
Oh, yeah.
Because of shrinkage of newspaper coverage, it's clear many elected officials have never faced tough questions about corruption, taxpayer waste, or government accountability. They act like the questions are out of bounds, or they ignore us in hopes we will eventually forget and go away. Then he says, parenthetically, we won't. That's
And he
right.
will
That's
not.
Ryan.
Yeah, that is Ryan Kath for
Tenacious.
sure.
Has he ever come close to... Has there ever been a bidding war for his services, bringing him back here?
I don't know about back here. I think there was out there.
Yeah,
I
he's
think he
in
moved
too good a
stations
place
out.
right now, yeah.
He's got a good gig out there. Good life.
Well, the station that's got nothing but money is our station, Fox 9.
It's true.
Be a great get for Fox 9. But, you're in Boston, you're a star,
Well, in all honesty,
so I would think he's probably not ready to come back here.
I think our Ryan Kath, Paul Bloom,
Yeah.
I think he's Boston guy.
Well, that's true.
Maybe we could just
it's
trade.
A trade.
Because I think, at some point, maybe he
Have
wants
there
to go
ever
back
been those
out
kinds
east.
of media trades?
Well, didn't Al Michaels get traded for like Mickey Mouse
Did he?
when he went from ESPN, when he went from like ABC to NBC? I think there was some type of random trade where somebody got the rights for the original Mickey Mouse drawing or something. There was some weird Al Michaels deal that somebody can send a link to, or I could just Google it.
Somebody will remember. Yeah, I don't recall that. We've had trades involving coaches and draft picks and
Yes.
things like that. Somebody is saying on Kaprizov, could we do a Herschel Walker-like deal where we give up the product, Kaprizov, but then we get 18 things in return?
Can you imagine that, though?
It would be beyond devastating.
Yes, it would.
It would be such
Grand Casino
a
would pull out of the deal.
concession, yeah, that you can't. I don't even think we can begin to calculate the damage that would be done to the organization. Right? I think it would be. At that point, then you're basically starting over, right?
After the last handful of years.
Yeah, correct.
Where you've had the one hand tied behind your back. That would not be good. And then they're not going to get the stadium funding, and then they're going to move the team to Fort Worth.
What's
Because
the
Dallas already has a team. They got to have one in Fort Worth.
What is the
Dickies Arena.
What's the ratio of Cub fans to Twins fans going to be tonight? 4-1?
I was going to say 2. You're a little more negative than me.
I think it might be 4-1.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Because Cub fans, they do get trendy when the team's good.
Yes. And there's Cub fans everywhere.
That's exactly it. Well,
in Iowa, too. I've got relatives from Iowa coming up that are huge Cub fans.
Well, again, depending on ages, a lot of this, and in fact, Coomer talked about this in the Royce column that he did on Coomdog. Coomdog's going to join us tomorrow. What time did you say? 5:45?
4:45.
4:45.
Yep.
So I hope my voice is good enough to chat with him. But this is a guy who was surrounded by White Sox fans, South Side.
Yep.
But as he said, because Cub games were on WGN, although White Sox historically at one time were also on WGN. Now maybe he's too young compared to me, because there was a time when GN had both in my younger years. But when you talk about places like Iowa, that's what it was about. It was all Superstation related, right? WGN. That's why some people are Atlanta Braves fans, because TBS became
for sure
another superstation.
And the Iowa Cubs in Des Moines was a big deal too. Yes. So it had all of it. But I remember watching Cubs games growing up. Our guy Brendan, remember Brendan Kieran? Who used to work here, worked at CCO forever. He was a huge Cubs fan. I have to imagine that was part of the reason too, with some family ties.
A lot of people are mad that we have not gone local angle on the Cubs with your guy Bush, Michael Bush. Is it Michael Bush?
I think so. Yeah, it's not Randy.
No, that's true. I'm sure we'll talk about him with Coomer tomorrow. They are in first place, right? You said
they are 3.5 games ahead of the Brewers.
Yeah. And so maybe 4-1's a little aggressive, but I don't know, man. You mentioned the stat. Was it yesterday that there's only 2 teams that are worse in attendance than us, and they're both playing in minor league ballparks, right?
It's something like that. I think it's 5 teams are worse than us, but 2 of them include that. So I think it's 3 teams in actual major leagues ballparks that are worse than us. I think we're 26th in attendance, right around there.
Has Lobel given up the ghost on? Is he ready to say trade everybody?
I don't know.
He kept trying to tell me, we got to wait. We got to wait. I don't know what we're waiting for. And again, I don't know what's even possible in the trade market, but we assume that your relievers could get something in return, because I'm ready. As much as I hate enabling a team to put off the present again, because that's in effect what you're doing, sometimes I think you just have to face it. I just don't think this team is a factor. Speaking of the Twins, also, is it this series that on the TV broadcast, the Twins are going rogue on the approach they're taking on the air? Do you know about this?
I don't think I do.
It's either this series or the next one. Provis is not on the TV broadcast. They're going with literally 3 or 4 baseball analysts.
Oh,
they're trying to do.
I think it is like the players only bit.
Players only.
Yeah,
bit. Now,
I think it's Morneau and Plouffe.
Also, though, I thought I read somewhere that
Pablo's jumping in tonight.
Going to jump in too.
Yep.
I guess there's nothing to lose. What the hell's the difference at this point? But
give Corey a break.
On the other hand, you still have to have kind of a traffic cop, So I don't know how. Somebody's got to take the lead.
I bet they can.
So I don't know. Who do you think that's going to be? I would think, who's on it as far as we know?
I think it's Morneau and Plouffe tonight.
I think Plouffe might have more take the lead in him than Mornosy.
Probably.
But
yeah, Plouffe's good. I like Mornosy too.
Is Provis on board?
I don't know.
Yeah. You're telling me we should have Gleeman on next week. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the plan during the All-Star break.
Good. It'd be good to catch up with him.
Yep.
And maybe by then we're further along on what the Twins might or might not do. Somebody's saying Provis is on vacation.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And apparently Perkins was on with PA.
He was on today,
yeah. Right, explaining. Wonder why he didn't want to come on with us.
I mean, we didn't ask him. I'm sure he would.
You think he would?
Yeah.
God, the Jack Morris soundbite. Do we still have it?
Somewhere. Yeah. Well, I mean, we have this one. Hang on. We have this one that I play a lot. I got to find it. I don't know if we have the original one.
Oh, seriously?
Which I could find.
Go get them, Glenn. Show us what you can do.
The one that we played.
So good. The other one was
According to Glenn.
And that one might be missing.
It might. I think.
All right, let's do this. Let's see if we can find it during the break. If not, no big deal, but it's a classic.
Yeah.
So let's stay on schedule. Is it Grant in your hand for this?
Not for the 6.
This 6.
Just
okay.
3, 4, and 5.
I hope somebody won on our behalf. That's for sure.
We haven't had a winner announced to us in forever. Remember when we used to get the local winners?
Yeah, a lot.
We get the email from Swedberg.
You're right.
It said, hey, here's a winner.
Hasn't happened much.
Sam and Shakopee. Hasn't happened lately. So maybe it could be you tomorrow.
We'll come back and wrap up the controversial program this has been next.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper Show Wrap.
Caitlin Clark's only played 9 games this season.
That sounds right.
I asked you this yesterday. Is she softer than we thought? Are these all legitimate injuries?
I mean, the groin is a tricky thing.
That's true.
And that's the last injury that has held her out.
Okay.
She did not miss much time at Iowa, if any. Maybe one game that I can remember.
So they're doing it the way the NBA used to, where there's Team Clark and Team Collier.
Is that what they're doing?
They're doing
the draft?
Yeah. So who would be juicy for Clark to pick? Is there somebody who's been an agitator among the All-Stars? Where she would pick that player, rise above it?
I'd have to look at the list here.
The captains are Clark and Argyle and Nafisa Collier.
Yep. And Cheryl Reeve is the coach of Team Clark. That's the juicy part.
Oh, that is juicy.
Chris Brennan loves that.
You got to. Oh, you kidding me?
Yeah.
She's got to just. Yeah, that sets it up nicely.
Did you read the latest? I don't know if it's excerpt, but at least part of where how many times Brennan has tried to contact the WNBA commissioner.
Yeah.
About the Caitlin Clark stuff, and the commissioner won't even talk about it or respond, and is even cagey in some 60 Minutes conversation with your guy, John Wertheim. It's like, what are we doing?
I don't. It's a great
commissioner.
Question. Yeah, I don't know. It's like if you think it's a volatile story, then just handle it.
Address it. And then it's done.
Because doing what you do makes it seem like there's greater discomfort than there should be.
Exactly right.
I don't get that. I did not realize. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. There's talk today. Who's the forward that we passed on? Who's Reese?
Angel Reese.
She apparently, there's a lot of headlines today that she refused to speak with Clark with Brennan about the book. And that to me is kind of silly, but it's her right. She doesn't have to. But if you're the commissioner, come on, man. Have a backbone. Because there's a million ways you can go with it, and don't be afraid of it. How are you afraid of it?
Well, and the other thing they do...
It's embarrassing.
That Brennan brings up is, she said at the finals last year, Kathy Engelbert spent 27 minutes in a press conference and talked about the unprecedented growth, and we're moving games to different arenas. It's like, well, we're not all idiots. And never brought up Caitlin Clark's name once.
Yeah,
and Brennan did ask her about that, and apparently she responded like via email or text and said, well, I didn't bring up anybody that wasn't playing in the finals, which also Brennan goes, not true. You brought up 2 players that weren't, talking about the commercials. Just like, you can't bring up unprecedented growth, and here we are, and not at least
not
mention
address the elephant.
It's just strange.
It smacks of insecurity, like I said, and all it does is it feeds the ongoing notion that this league is not ready for it and still hasn't figured that part out. So we'll see. Who's to say? Great conversation with Louie today. He joined for the entire 5 o'clock hour of the show. You can podcast that later. News on the march. A couple of
back-to-back days.
Back-to-back days. I'm experimenting with the possibility of trying to make that a little bit more regular because it allows us to get into some non-toy department stuff sometimes in a hurry and then move on with the rest of our lives. A lot of good talk also about the latest coming betting scandal concern having to do with these bets on not plays that change the outcome of a game, the opposite. They're likely to not change anything. But people apparently are betting on them and for specific reasons, in some cases because they have inside information that that player might be cooperating. That was a big topic of conversation today. And early, we talked about, and I have to find the term because I wish I had written it, but I fortunately did not.
Soulless modern innovation. something like that.
The cult of soulless modern innovation. Exactly it, as it pertains to Wimbledon going with robots on line calls, right?
Yes.
And the larger question about as we continue to go down this road, how do we feel about the cult that's becoming, it seems, almost irresistible to various leagues? And what are we losing in that particular trade-off? That was the subject early in the program as well. Well, Clark picking Reese. That would be good.
Yeah.
Right? That'd be juicy.
But she's not an all-star, I don't think.
Oh, I thought she was an all-star.
No, I don't think she is. I'm looking at the starters.
You might be right.
Maybe
They're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Right in front of us, live. I see. So she's already picked Aaliyah Boston and Ionescu, two of your favorites.
We call her AB in the business, Aaliyah Boston.
Oh, is that right?
If you're down with the fever, we call her AB.
AB.
That's what my mom called her. My mom, for example, watches every single Fever game.
That's great.
Even if Clark's not playing.
She's invested.
She's obsessed.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's lost my kids a couple of times because she's supposed to be watching them.
Nothing wrong with that. Tomorrow, Ron Coomer will join. Cubs are in town. Always good to catch up with Coom Dog, who we have not talked to in way too long. And also Kessler. Tomorrow is Wednesday, right?
Sure is.
Kessler will be on the program as well. So we'll see. They're still picking. Wilson just got picked by Clark. And so you don't think Reese is an option?
I have no idea, honestly. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't either. Hard to say.
But not a starter, I know that.
We'll figure that out tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tolerating the gravelly nature of my voice, but we got through it. And we hope to join again tomorrow, beginning at 3 o'clock, right here on The Fan.
Change the face. Be happy. Enjoy.